All right, guys, welcome back to the Natural Bodybuilding and Chill podcast with your host, Dirk Emmerich, and as well, Gary Klutz Amlinger. And today we are talking about, yeah, in regards to me, like my peak week, like how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it, and a little bit about let's say the idea, like why we're doing a peak week, like a lot of details I would like to share in regards to the peak week. I still have a few questions, like from the seminar last weekend where I was in Singapore. There I still have like a few questions where we wasn't able to answer those on the seminar. So I would like to get like back to some of those here on the podcast. And yeah, and you, Gary, you also still got like a few questions, right? What do you have?
Yeah, I got a bunch, but before we start, we gotta do the cheers, brother.
Oh yeah, let's do it. What we have here is like an Oreo Coca-Cola. You have a normal one, right?
I have a big zero sugar Pepsi.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
There
Crank
you
it.
go.
Ooh, delicious.
Nice. There's another Pepsi, like a blue one. I saw at 7-Eleven. Very interesting, like a blue Pepsi. It tastes good actually.
Blue like blueberry or what?
Not really blueberry. It has like a blue color. It tastes a little bit like a mountain blast kind of thing. Very interesting.
Really?
You should give it a go. I found it at 7-Eleven. Yeah.
Do you know one of my favorite sodas is Baja Blast from Taco Bell?
I never tried it, man. I never tried that.
Oh, brother. After prep, we go.
Oh, like
Yes.
here in Thailand?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we have.
I'm sure they have it here too. I'm sure.
They should. They should. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
You
have
like
to check
Taco
that
Bell?
stuff out. I love Taco Bell. I love Mexican.
Okay.
It's so good.
Let's go.
I know
Perfect.
a spot in Bangkok, by the way, where you should go after the prep, like an authentic Mexican place as well. So
Like a legit place.
yes, a legit place, like actual
Perfect.
legit. Yeah, that's good.
I'm down.
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, like I would start with like the peak week now. For me, it's now 7 days out before Dubai, which is insane sometimes, like right? Like doing a contest prep and out of nowhere you are a week out of the show. Like don't even realize like how fast the time passes sometimes during a contest prep, which is
Mhm.
scary in a way. And then yeah, and that is the thing also I feel sometimes with being patient of like not rushing the process because from one to the next day you wow, I'm very lean right now. And still like I pace myself all the time and then out of nowhere like oh shit, I'm here now. Like that's sometimes crazy to see with a prep. Like what all those days do after some time. And
Yeah, that's very true.
that's crazy. So yeah, like now the plan is like with the peak week, what we like Alberto and me planning to do is like the main thing. How I see a peak week is usually right, like just bringing fatigue down, bringing like inflammation away, and looking as fresh as full, and having no water retention at all. Like once stepping on stage, right? We want to present the best our best look. That's like peak, right? Like we want to peak to have the peak look on that day. And yeah, like the main thing what I'm doing there, I try to keep everything very controlled. Like it's like also a big chill week for me. Like besides work and very easy trainings, like almost like deload training for me, more like short and bias movements, like those peak contraction stuff, like less lengthened bias stuff. So movements that aren't really that taxing, like fatiguing, very low volume and that's the training side of things for the most part. The steps I bring down now from like 10, 11K to like 5, 6K, which I'm super excited about because you probably know in Thailand it's very hard to walk. It's either super hot outside or the streets is so hard to walk. There's not really like a lot of like there are parks here, but I don't want to travel half an hour to a park to just get steps in. That's
Yeah, well, you're basically like doing a tightrope walk when you're walking near that water you showed me.
yes,
You know how you
well,
walk
my
on that?
neighborhood is
Yeah.
very chill actually right here. Like here I can walk, but
Hmm.
it's still hard because the bikes they drive next to me and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very tight. Yeah, you got bikers, you got cyclists, and then you got people.
you got to
It's
be
just and
aware.
not
Yeah.
yeah, you do for sure.
In USA or Germany, one of the things I really like there, it's easier to get steps in. Like you can just go outside and walk easier, I think.
Yep. Yep.
I'm excited for 5, 6K steps now this week. Like that is the thing I'm the most excited about. Like it almost feels like, you deep in prep when like 10, 11,000 steps, it feels like cardio in a way. It's like, okay, damn, I have to do cardio. Like that's
It's it yeah, when I was like super close to competition, even walking up steps is it's a different, feeling than just
feels
in
like
the off season.
cardio. It doesn't feel like,
It
it feels like, yeah, like cardio. It feels like my body doesn't want to do it. Like,
Yes. Actually, I wanted to ask you, so when you say you're doing lower intensity and lower volume, like what's your RPE during peak week and how much lower is your total volume about?
I would say the volume is probably mm, like I would say like you think like 30, 40% less than usual. And I
Mhm.
still stay like 1 to 2 reps away from failure on isolation stuff, but compounds like 3, 4 reps away from it. So
Oh, interesting.
RP
Okay.
6 to 7 on compounds, RP 8 to 9 on isolation work.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you're pretty close. So that's pretty intense then still
It's still
on
intense, like not
isolation.
super easy,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's still like somewhat intense, but still like not going all out. And
Right. Because
so
that's your training style. I mean, your training style is a bit lower volume and just super high intensity. So it makes sense that it's just a little less intense and a little less volume. That makes sense. Yeah, I
exactly, like
understand.
that's the plan. And movement wise, like I don't do movements that are taxing during the peak week. Like I don't do an RDL, I don't do a
Uh,
black press, I don't do a hack squat, like more so very stable and easygoing movements, which is like leg extensions, leg curls, chest press machines, cable rows, cable leg pull downs, like stuff
mm,
that's really stable in a way. It's
mm,
what I'm doing during this week. And yeah, like that is the main thing, like training wise, like just bringing stress down, fatigue down with lower steps as well. And nutrition wise, I'm tracking my sodium, my water intake, and obviously my carb intake and like macros. With that, I'm now like 5 liters of water, and I track everything. Like this also counts for me as water, like the diet,
mm.
because it's like 99% water, right? Like dietary,
Yeah.
just some flavor
Hmm.
inside, and yeah, like the sodium as well. Like that is always can be a little stressful during peak week, like the sodium, because everywhere is sodium, even in diet drinks sometimes. Like
Sure.
there's like in this one, there's 40 milligrams of sodium inside. And I track all of it because if you have like 2, 3 drinks of that, it adds up, right?
Exactly.
Also like
Exactly.
monsters or getaways. They have like Monster has like 200 milligrams of sodium. So it's everywhere. And it's also in whey protein, everywhere is sodium. It's crazy to think about.
Everywhere.
Like even in
And
egg
this hit,
or meat or vegetables, there's also like natural occurring sodium.
yeah. And also, even like energy drinks have hidden calories. Like it might say like zero sugar, but you should look at the back because sometimes there's like 5 or 10 calories in there you just don't even pay attention to. So that's another thing people
Important.
need to focus on too.
Exactly. Like that is the big
Yeah.
one. Yeah, and
So
that is the
so
plan.
your first competition's Dubai. This is the first one.
Yeah, Dubai, and then 2 weeks later,
It's
Taiwan.
awesome.
I just booked
That's
the
so cool.
hotel, the flight, everything today for Taiwan. Like everything is booked, the photo package, the tanning, the hotel flight, everything for both so far.
Okay. And so it's Dubai, Taiwan, Germany, then Worlds.
And well, that is the plan, yeah.
So four.
4 shows this season.
Beautiful. So that actually will lead me in. Number one, Dirk is going to post some of his pictures, most likely, in this podcast as well, like how he's looking, so you guys
Yeah, like
could get
right now
a
the
little
shape.
view.
Yeah,
Yes, would be perfect. That leads me into one of my topics as well, and we could continue on Dirk's prep as long as he wants, because that's the most important thing right now. But I got asked the same thing. The competitions I'm going to do next year, will they all be in the WNBF? And which ones will they be?
that's a good
I
one.
actually recently wrote up my possible competition plans, and they almost mirror Dirk's. So right now I'm looking at Dubai, then I'm looking at Taiwan because it's a few hours away.
Yes.
Then after that, probably take a little, like a long break and then head to the US, compete at the Monster Mash
Yeah.
early November, and then wherever Worlds is going to be, late November. So it'll be 4 competitions most likely. It's
Yeah.
looking like I won't be competing anywhere else this year but the WNBF, but we'll see. Right now, that's my
Almost
competition
the same
plans.
plan like me, like Dubai,
Yeah,
Taiwan. That's great. And then in the USA. Man, I think
yeah.
WNBF Worlds will be in Miami next year, I feel.
That's all I'm hearing. So it might be.
That is huge. Oh, damn,
It's
man.
nice. It's a quick flight from where I live, maybe a couple hours,
Oh,
in New York.
perfect, man.
So it's
Perfect.
much better than Cali. I really can't ask for a better, competition plan. So it'll be good.
It's going to be very good. And now maximizing the off season. Right now you are like doing a long deload, I saw, right? Like a 3-week deload break in a way, like
Yeah.
crushing your tendon, like your joints, all of it.
Yeah. So yeah,
Uh,
I'm interested to hear your thoughts as well and if you had experience, but basically very recently I developed a little bit of knee pain, kneecap pain.
oh, oh,
And you know, I'm less than a year out or about a year out from my first competition. So we want to be smart and make sure it doesn't get worse.
that is so
And as quads have been the primary focus the past 2 years, and I've been training very, very heavy with a lot of volume. So it took me 2 years to develop a little knee pain. We'll take it. We just got to be smart. Right now, I'm going to do about a 3-week regeneration phase. I'm going to put I would say my upper body a little above maintenance volume, so I'll still grow, and my legs as well, except quads. Quads is going to get a lot of BFR training, blood flow restriction. So I'll be able to still really grow my quads because it does produce quite a big hypertrophic stimulus, but it's going to deload my joints because I'm going to be able to use less weight. Because with BFR, you're living in that 15 to 30 rep range. So it's just so light, and I'm
so good.
taking each set to failure. So I'm going to be able to retain the muscle I have. And this is where you have to be smart. You don't push during times like this when you have competitions coming up. And, like all top athletes, I'm sure you had some aches and pains that you had to really tend to, whether it was in your off season or competition prep. It's part of the game. So got to be smart about it.
Got to think about a long-term picture in a way of like knowing, yeah, like all like the most important, I think also at like our level where we at is like staying healthy. I think that is so important because getting an injury can be a massive setback, like
Mm,
massive one. So that is like a very smart move. And I got the same with like I feel like knees, elbows are very prone to like yeah, like getting not only injured, but like stressed out after a while to get like a little pain there because those joints they're quite small and they need to hold like all of that, yeah, like heavy loads, high volumes, and at some point they just need a break. So that's a smart thing
right. Did
to
you ever do you recall any times where you had to maybe auto-regulate a deload because of maybe an injury, a strain, or some sort of tendonitis?
I did in the past, that is for sure. Like I had something on my shoulder before, like a little shoulder pain. And what I do is like the same, like you, I like to just deload mostly the muscle group where it happens or where I have the pain, like when it's like let's say the knees that I yeah, like deload in a way like my quad movements.
Mm,
Except if I feel overall burned out. Like if my whole body feels a little whacked up, I would do an overall deload. But if it's just a muscle
mm,
group and pain there, I think also a smart move of like just, yeah, like deloading in a way that muscle group and then slowly
okay.
getting back into it. Yeah.
Right. Right.
That's
That's
right.
very interesting.
And when do you start your contest prep? Do you already have plans for that?
It's a good question, man. Like, so as you know, I've been not force feeding, but I've been shoveling down food, and I'm roughly 204, which is about 7, 8 pounds over stage weight 2 years ago. So
Yes.
I'm still forcing food down. Like I was at like 45, 4,600 calories and barely holding my weight. So it's gonna work out because I'll be able to stay leaner moving into my competition year. So I might not even have to do a mini cut before competition prep. I might just be lean enough to just roll right into a full prep, which would be excellent. So I could grow more. I'd like to grow at least another 5 months before I prep. So it might work out really well in that
That's
aspect.
perfect. Like making like
Yeah.
the most important thing is really the gaining, the off season, like milking it out for as long as possible. That is like I think the smartest move. And then
Yeah. And
starting like as late as possible, but still with like reasonable time where you don't need to rush it, kind of.
right. So just starting prep as you always do, as well as, start prep in a good body composition. It's very important. You don't want to be too heavy and have to lose 35 pounds.
Exactly.
So
Yes. Like
it's
I have
important.
lost in total like 10 pounds right now, about
Wow.
like 8 to 10 pounds actually, which is very good. Like little amount technically.
And how many pounds total would you say you would lose until Worlds? Do you feel how many more pounds do you think you have left?
Until Worlds, I think it will honestly be like anywhere between, let me think, like how many pounds? Like I think 6-ish pounds. Fifty.
More.
Oh, I gotta see I need to do the math. Like
Okay.
about, I think, yeah, like two-ish kgs. That would be around. Oh no, like 4 to 5 pounds. Sorry, 4 to 5
Okay.
pounds. I think until Worlds, which is a lot of like if you think 4 to 5 pounds just body fat. Yeah,
So you would have lost about 12 total around there in general, 12 pounds total.
12 to 14. I think. Yeah, 12. No,
That's
yeah,
very
12.
nice.
12. Not that much.
Yeah.
It's like not too much.
So
Yeah.
also, if you want to actually, you take a topic now because I just did mine, but I have a couple here that people definitely want to hear about for sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like just another topic to jump just quickly back on the peak week of like the reason being like why I'm doing it, and as well of like also knowing like it's not a magical thing where you can magically like totally transform the physique. I think the leaner you are, the more you can do it in a way of like having a huge effect. But if you're not there yet, if you're like, hey, 10-12% body fat, the peak week won't like do much for you. That is like what some people think, like, oh, they are not in shape, so the peak week will rescue them. But I think if you like, hey, like 4 or 5%, then it has a good effect. But if you like 10, 12, I would only even do like high days. I wouldn't even worry too much about like doing some special things in the peak week if you're like still like not fully ready.
That's a
So
great point.
the main thing is like really just
Yeah.
reducing stress, having a predictable like outcome, and that is the peak week. Like honestly, my opinion is just like reducing stress and sticking with what you have been doing in a way, and it like also like with carb loading and stuff, you want to have the most full look, but also the most dry look. That is the goal with the peak week, and there again, there comes a lot of protocols, like super individual, and that is overall the goal how to do it. So that is. It's a thing, and that's what I'm excited about. It's like a week of like really relaxing, chilling down, and then like getting at it. So it's not like a super like, but anything not a super intense week. What some people might
It's
think.
the
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's like the easiest week of prep,
it's the
honestly.
easiest. Like something that's the hardest
Yeah.
week where you would need to have to dig like crazy or something. But yeah, it's
Yes.
like like one of the easiest weeks. So yeah, like in regards to other topics, like I still also got the few there. Like a question what came up a lot of times is like the recovery diet, like after competition prep, like what to do after. And I would say with that, it is like almost even more important than the prep itself, or it is as important because prep doesn't end when you step on stage from the final show. It like your hormones, all of that doesn't recover like that. It's like you're getting there, but then you need to get yourself out of that, yeah, like that extreme state as efficient as possible. And having a plan with that is so essential. And I see both extremes. Either like people try to maintain the shreds way too much, or they get fat way too quickly. And then the worst thing, they're getting fat way too quickly. And then they do a mini cut like just 3 weeks after the competition again. And then this is what really messes people up mentally, physically. And those two mistakes I see a lot of times. So it needs to be a set plan afterwards of gaining definitely faster than you would in your normal off season because you want to get body fat faster to get yourself out of that, yeah, like compromised or danger zone state body fat wise. But once you like, I would say up like 10% above stage weight, you can slow it down again. So a good rule of thumb, I would say, is like, yeah, like gaining around like 1.5% of body weight, like every week after the show, and then you do that for like 4, 6 weeks, and then you should be good to go. That's like what I would advise for most people. Yeah, in regards to recovery diet. What's your take on that? Like recovery diet after the prep?
I
What do
think you nailed it because I think the rate of gain you nailed in terms of how much you should gain after competition. Also, yeah, if you gain real fast, if you do, like say you gain like 20 pounds the first week and then maybe 30 pounds, 3 weeks later, the worst thing you can do is go on a mini cut because your hormones aren't recovered yet.
yes.
So have fun losing body fat at that point. Also, you might as well just get a handle on it, even if you blow 20, 30 pounds and just bulk. And, everybody's different, but I would say give yourself anywhere from, ooh, I want to say 6 to 7 months of a surplus. I
Oh,
do.
definitely.
Even if you're overweight, before you even think about cutting, it's like the worst thing you could do. So those are really good points. Yeah, I
Like
don't
even
really
if
have
you mess
much
it
else to
up,
add.
right? Like most people after the
Yes.
first season, most people like it's the main thing with recovery diet is very chaotic. It's never going according to plan. There will be some days where you might eat a little more than planned, where you might binge even like that's for first timers especially like letting go of perfectionism is also key here, I believe. Because yeah, then again, like you beat yourself up. There's like you having that guideline. Some days might be better, some days a little worse. I think it's also key of like letting a little go of that super perfectionistic mindset afterwards to some degree.
Yeah. Give yourself a little bit of a break.
Yeah,
You don't have to hit your macros perfect. If you don't hit them perfectly, just don't let that turn into like a full cheat day, a cheat week. That's where you
exactly.
get in trouble. So don't beat yourself up if you're over, 40 carbs for the day or whatever it is. Just keep in mind that you have to just think, I can't go on a cutting phase. You should after prep, you can't. You have to wait till your hormones recover first. So keep that in mind. That might help you rein in your eating because you can't cut and you don't want to just be walking around like a bloated fat mess, honestly. So that might be good motivation for people to rein in the calories, let your hormones come back nice and easy, and then 6, 7, 8 months later, you do a little mini cut and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. And one thing to add on top of that is also like that cheat day or cheat week, it doesn't magically make you feel better afterwards. So thinking
Mhm.
about like sometimes we think like after prep, oh, if I eat 10,000 calories today, I will magically feel better, but you will wake up the next day and you will be as hungry as you've been the day before. You will just feel like shit, like your stomach bloated, you will feel sick.
Yeah,
So there's like no way of speeding it up like that, of like going crazy nutrition wise. The only thing it's doing for you is like making fat quicker, but the process will still take you a few weeks to recover. So it's better to, yeah, still go fast, but having that sweet spot and keeping it there, I would say. Yeah.
100%. We definitely cover that really well.
Yeah.
I'll take the next topic.
Yes.
Got quite a bit of topics we can't cover on this podcast, but the next one will get way more. Quick story about the spider that I found. Let me just go where. Yeah, so basically, Dirk is going to edit this and he's going to show you the spider that I found in my room. So the lady upstairs must have dropped something. It was like a coffee cup and clothing off the balcony, and it landed on mine. So the only way for me to get out there to get it for her is open this window that I never open. So I opened the window, and as I moved the curtain and opened the window, I felt something fall like pretty big. I was like, okay, what is that? So, I looked down on the floor and this huge spider. Now, keep in mind, when things die, especially insects, they contract, they get smaller. So this thing was big, dead. So it's
Imagine
probably
alive.
double or two and a half the size that it was dead. And he's going to show you a picture now. And I was just kind of looking at it, looking at its legs, and then looking at its mouth, and it had fangs like a vampire. So thankfully he was dead, and that thing didn't crawl on my face while I was sleeping. So, but that's how it is in Thailand, you know how it
Yeah, it
is there.
depends so much where you live. Like my area, for instance, there's like nothing. Like then
Yeah.
there are areas, especially on the islands. Like that, I had lived on Koh Tao before, and I encountered a few like big spiders in my room before and things like that. So on the
Yeah.
islands, there can be also snakes and things. What I've heard from people, all of it. In Bangkok, it's a little more rare, but it definitely happens as well. Like ants, spiders, highly depending where you live, and yeah, probably not as bad as Australia though, I think, but still like quite.
Australia is on another level, I believe.
I couldn't live there just because I would be scared to sleep.
Yeah, that's what's funny? Like you really just get used to things. So when I first saw like the crazy creatures crawling around, my first month here, I saw a snake just slither by me like 10 feet away. And it's like, yeah, at first you're like, wow, that's new. We don't get that on Long Island, New York. But after a while, I've seen a bunch of spiders and I've seen lizards. We got a bunch of lizards over here. And it's like now it's almost normal. So also another key point that I should bring up, I did research spiders in Thailand, and there's pretty much no spiders that are deadly, especially tarantulas. They look scary. Maybe they bite and you'll feel a little pain, but they're not going to kill you. One spider that might be around, but it's pretty rare, is called the brown widow, kind of cousins to the black widow spider everybody knows about. That's super poisonous. The brown widow, you probably should go to the hospital if you get bit by it, but I believe they're a little smaller and thinner, and they're not as scary as a tarantula,
Wow. I
but they're
wonder
just
where,
so
where it is,
rare.
where you can find it here.
Yeah, maybe up north, I don't think they have them down here in Bangkok. But yeah, so it's just interesting to like read about all these different creatures because nature is amazing, and
It is, man.
it's fun to witness, live. But
Life, yeah.
so onto the real topic, I got a question about having anxiety before squats and deadlifts and how to deal with it. So actually, let you take that. Have you ever had anxiety before lifts, and how did you deal with it?
In the past I did. Like in the past I definitely did. Now I'm at the
Mm,
point though where I really pick my loads so wisely, where I know I have 100% control over the loads. Like sometimes having a lot of anxiety can be a sign that you might move too much load, that your body, your mind is telling you, don't move that, you're not ready for that. That is in my experience. When I have so much anxiety of like getting injured, it might be a sign of like, my body's just telling me, don't do that, you're not ready for that. And I think like, especially for bodybuilding purposes, it is quite key of like picking loads where we are ready for, what we can control fully and so on. In regards to powerlifting, though, I think it is more so part of the process because then you need to challenge moving the weight from A to B more. Bodybuilding wise, it's more like how you move it from A to B more, I feel. So it can be a warning sign of like a warning sign of like maybe too much load. But it's for beginners, intermediates, it can also be a sign of like, hey, you're just not good at it yet. You need to expose yourself more towards it. A lot of people are probably also scared of training close to failure because they didn't done it enough. So it might go away over time, but it doesn't go away. Check your execution, look how the movement looks. If the movement looks good and all of that, I think it's just like getting used to it. But if your movement looks very shaky, very like half reps, stuff like that, then I think it's like probably a sign of like, hey, the body's telling you reduce a little bit. So that's, I would say, my take on that. Yeah.
it's an excellent answer. There's not really much for me to add. So, one, if you're new, you're going to be a little nervous about doing anything. So, if you're a beginner and you're just starting to learn the squat and deadlift, and you've seen some videos online where people are getting injured, doing some dumb stuff. Yeah, you might be nervous, but I would focus heavily on technique, especially on the bench press, squat, and deadlift, because those are the lifts that will injure you. And in the past, I might have got some butterflies before doing, big, big lifts. But to be honest with you, I had no business moving that kind of weight. And I was relatively new to bodybuilding. So coupling those together, it's understandable why someone would be nervous in that position. So to ease your concerns and the nervous energy you're getting, maybe lighten the load, control it more, and focus on technique, which is ultimately what matters in bodybuilding. So yeah, we covered that one pretty good. One is how to deal with friends or acquaintances when you're training at a commercial gym while on prep. So I'm assuming he means he or she wants to focus because during prep energy levels are low
Yes.
and we know how that goes. So maybe he's asking like how to deal with social situations that might arise on prep where you don't necessarily want to indulge in that. That's what I'm getting. We kind of covered that already in one or two podcasts before this, but I would say just let them know you need to focus. I mean, if they're your friends, they should probably know you're competing, right?
Yes.
So they should understand, and if they don't, well, that's their problem, that's not your problem. That's like going into someone's workplace where they're focusing on a project and someone's trying to talk to them and they're like, I'm working right now, like on a serious
Exact same
project.
thing. Yes.
They
Yes.
should understand, right?
Yeah.
So show some grace maybe if you have to tell somebody. You don't
Yes.
have to be rude about it, but I
You
think
do
just
gotta
let
be
them know.
kind because it's your decision what
Yeah.
you do, and they don't know how we feel. Like that's one thing I always remind myself is like also now in prep, it's like yeah, like people like we might look shredded to them, but they probably feel oh, he's probably just dieting. He feels fine. And
Right.
I would be the same as an outsider. If I wouldn't do bodybuilding, I would probably assume like, hey, this guy is just dieting, like for a show, he's probably feeling fine. So sometimes I try to like have a little empathy as well, and but still communicating, setting the boundaries. And if the people don't respect the boundaries, then it's their problem. That's like how I like to see it. Yeah, that's the main thing. But like still being
Yeah.
kind about it. I think that's the main thing. And
Yeah, I mean, I rarely have to be like I don't never actually.
yeah.
People are usually going to understand, especially if they're adults. Maybe kids, maybe not so much, but yeah, usually people get it.
Yeah, and after like when they're your close friends, after some time they at the beginning they might be, that's a little weird, but after some time they're like, I get it. Like the more
Hmm.
like they know you and they care about you and your goals, that is your real friends. And if people still like really like shit on you, then I would consider like, ah, that's actually good friends in a way. Like
What they just start like yell, like getting pissed, like what?
some people really do. Like it's crazy to
Yeah.
like when I worked like back in the days at the office and stuff, like some people really got a little like, oh, why you don't eat it? Why you don't eat it?
Oh my
Like
God.
because you make
Yeah,
it
that makes sense
so
though.
bad about themselves that they can't stand it. Like it's crazy sometimes. Yeah. It can be hard. I can definitely emphasize a little. Yeah,
Mm.
with that.
Yeah, I went through that as well when I was working jobs. That I understand because like I'm working at a place that literally no one takes care of themselves. They're all just like
Of
eating
course.
garbage
They're
food
super
and
jealous naturally, obviously. Yeah.
yeah, I mean exactly. So we know the deal. It's okay.
Yeah, like that is the main thing. Can we train to failure on a cut? Maybe this is some one question we can quickly cover in
Yeah,
regard to
that's definitely
failure
for you.
training. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a good one. So I would say I would probably like keep the intensity as high as you got in the off season because what gets you the muscle keeps you the muscle. The only
Mm.
thing I would do different though is like chasing it less, like chasing progress less, chasing like load increasements a little less. Like if it comes naturally to you, that is easy. But on a cut, I would be just careful of like not compromising execution. Like I would be extra like yeah, like extra careful with that, but I would still train to failure, especially on things like arms delts, where it's very safe. Things like an RDL or a hack squat, like where the injury risk is a little higher, I would still train close to failure. Maybe I wouldn't risk getting to failure. Even in the off season, I wouldn't recommend going to failure on an RDL or like even a leg press, like total failure. But if it happens, we can get away with it. But in a cut, I wouldn't risk it. That is the difference. Like I would take less risks, but I would definitely still train to failure and keep honestly training wise everything the same. I wouldn't do anything different. Like how are you doing it?
Yeah, spot on. I mean, big compound lifts during a cut, 8.5 RP is fine. Even 8 is okay, depending on your volume levels. Isolation, maybe 9. Maybe you go to failure once in a while. It depends on, again, how much volume you're doing. Someone like me, I'll touch a 9, try not to go to 10, but Dirk, he's taking it to the house a lot of the time. So it depends on the individual and, how much volume you're doing as well. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Like you're doing more volume, I do less volume. So less volume usually means you have to train more, even more intense. And the other way around.
exactly.
Yeah. It's hard to do both in a way of like you can't have super high volume and crazy high intensity. And
Yeah,
also
imagine I went to failure every set doing like all my sets.
that would be crazy. And imagine me like keeping 3, 4 reps in reserve or 2, 3 reps even in reserve on like my arm movements and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like that's the thing. So
hell yeah. Well,
yeah,
we covered a lot of stuff.
a lot of stuff in a good short amount of time. I really like that. Like it's like this way. I think also for you, like the viewers, it's like a lot of good stuff, but also like not too much, and it's like in within a smaller time frame. And then as well, like every 2 weeks we're dropping an episode, and then you can always take some things out from it, and it's not like an information overload. What I think is quite cool.
Perfect. So 30 to 40 minutes is perfect. We jam pack as much info as we can. We're
Yeah,
going to keep up to date with Dirk's prep for sure. We're
yeah.
going to keep an eye on him. He's going to do extremely well in Dubai. So I'm looking forward to
Or like the
seeing
next
his
episode, we
weight
have to
shots.
discuss that for sure. Like the Dubai,
Uh,
this would be a
yes, I
big
can't
topic.
wait. It's going to be awesome.
We can do like a
So,
review in a way of like the results, to show all of the like full episode.
yes,
That could be cool. And then
that'd be
next year we
great.
can do one of with you with that, like do by the same thing. Like
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So we have about a minute left. I'm going to take it away. This is the Natural Bodybuilding and Chill podcast, episode 4, with Gary Glutz Amlinger and Dirk Emmerich. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.
so see you next time. Bye bye.